My name is Dr. Christy Morgan, and I am the Arizona Director for Candle Wishes in Phoenix, Arizona.
My name is Jenny Williams. I'm the founder and executive director of the Candle Wishes Foundation. I just really felt this burden come over me for these kids.
Children mean a lot. You never want a child to grow up feeling like they're not loved.
God put this on my heart to want to give these children happy birthdays.
This foundation just touched my heart, so I knew that this was something that I needed to do.
Okay, y'all, I'm not gonna ugly cry. This is terrible.
There was a time in our life where we struggled. There was a time in our life where we lived paycheck to paycheck. One time when we first moved down to Phoenix, a friend of ours, even at Christmas time, paid for my son to have a picture. Paid to have a picture of our son sitting on Santa's lap, and I couldn't afford it because we had just moved across the country. And so that's always stuck with me. If you would love to sponsor a child, if you would like to throw a birthday party, if you would like to just volunteer,
we need your help. Reach out to us so that we can connect and make our community a better place.
And good morning. Welcome to Breakthrough Walls. I'm Ken Walls and I'm your host, and I have a really cool guest on today. Before we get to him, I want to make sure that I give an additional plug to the Candle Wishes Foundation. Please go out and after the show, go to the Candle Wishes Foundation of Arizona, and there's one in Tennessee. They're both the same. Dr. Christy Morgan's in Arizona, so follow them. Those kids need birthday parties. So listen, I want to tell you, the guy that I have on today is a friend of mine, and he's a speaker. He's an author, a best-selling author. The guy is an absolute amazing guy. Edwin, I think we just lost video. You were on there, and I've lost you. I think he's trying to get his video back here real quick. But I have Edwin Dearborn coming on here any second. Hang on real quick for me. Are you still there? Oh, there you are. I see your hand. Nope, I'm looking outside the window now. Flip your camera around. There you are. There you are. Edwin, welcome to the show.
There we go. Despite technology, I'm here.
That's right. It's because of technology, man. So you're coming to us from Las Vegas, Nevada.
Yes, sir.
All right. So you know, this show, as I had already told you, you know, this show, and because you have a full beard, I went ahead and didn't shave today so I could fit in.
Okay, great.
But this show it's about helping people get unstuck, and I truly believe that by hearing other people's stories, that empowers us. It gives us the hope and motivation to get unstuck ourselves. So I'm excited to hear your story, man. I don't know it, so I do, however, want to say that I have your book, and I'm very, very grateful you sent this to me. So. Power Branding Secrets. I'm excited to find out everything about you. So let's start with where you were born and raised. Let's tell everybody where you were born and raised.
Great. Well, first of all, Ken, I really want to acknowledge you in this show that you've created. I mean, you've really created a platform that, to me, is not only giving individuals like myself a voice, but I really see your brand really growing. And because you offer so much value. So I just want to really acknowledge you having me on the show and just your overall endeavor with this. It's really incredible.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Yeah. Believe it or not, I was born in Inglewood, California.
Okay.
1964. And I was raised in Torrance, California until I was about 6 years old.
Okay.
My father served in the CIA, believe it or not, and he went to Vietnam. And when I was 6 years old, I moved to Thailand. I lived in Bangkok for a number of years.
Wow.
as a little child.
Bangkok, Thailand.
Bangkok, Thailand.
What language do they speak in Bangkok?
They speak Thai.
Oh, that's that's from a movie. What was that? Meet the Parents. Remember? He's like, oh, Jack
Totally.
talk Thai real good, or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you
So
did you learn to speak Thai?
Just a little bit. I mean, I forgot it all because when you're not around it. But I learned basic words.
Yeah. So how long did you live there?
We lived there about 2 years.
Okay.
While my dad was serving. He worked for Air America over in Southeast Asia.
Okay.
Then we came back and we moved to Huntington Beach for about a year or two. And then after that, around 10 years old, we moved to Newport Beach. And that's where I lived till I was about 24 years old.
Newport Beach, California.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I was very fortunate.
Yeah, that's I mean, I've not been there. I've been to LA one time. And it was right before we moved back to Ohio from Vegas. My wife and I and our little girl got in the car and drove to L.A. I'm like, I'm not going to live on the West Coast and never have been to L.A. So we went to L.A. and we ended up going to what's that pier, the famous pier?
Hermosa?
No, just
Venice?
Santa Monica? Santa Monica Pier, yeah. We went down there, and that's as far as we went. And then we turned around and went back to Vegas. So, so tell me, you grew up in you said Newport Beach.
Yep.
Pretty much from 10 to 24.
To about 24 years old, yeah.
So what was it like growing up there?
Well, it's definitely not the Newport Beach that it is today, the resort town. It was actually kind of a quiet little city that it obviously got busy during the summer, but it got very quiet.
Okay.
And we literally lived a couple blocks away from the beach, so I was very fortunate that I learned how to scuba dive. I learned how to body surf because I was right there by the water.
Yeah. Is the water there warm or cold?
No, it's very, very, very cold,
Yeah.
especially when you scuba dive and you go deep. Then it gets really, really cold, and you've got to have thick wetsuits.
Yeah. So you were here. You are living in. I mean, that's that's probably like a dreamland for most people, right? Like
it is. I had a very fortunate childhood. That doesn't mean that my parents were also entrepreneurial, which was really where I got started. When my father got back, he attempted to start several small businesses.
Okay.
And so that's where I jumped in and help fold catalogs or stuff envelopes, hand out flyers. My parents owned a motorhome rental business, and then they got into the travel business because my dad was a pilot by trade. My mother had worked for American Airlines as a flight attendant.
Wow.
So it was natural for them to get into the travel business in the 1980s, and they opened a travel agency, and I was about 19 years old at the time.
So wait, back up. I'm curious. So your father was a CIA pilot? Is that right?
Yes.
I didn't even know such thing existed.
Yeah, he eventually became a commercial pilot, but yes, there's a lot of things that exist that we don't know about.
Right. I happen to know. I have. I won't go into detail, but I know somebody that's in the same agency. So. So with the so they were entrepreneurial. Now wait, so you get back to Newport Beach, and is he still in the CIA or did he retire?
No, this time he gets a commercial job as a pilot. He's flying the DC-8 at this time.
Oh wow, okay.
He's making very good money.
Yeah.
He will work for 2 weeks, have 2 weeks off. So during those 2 weeks off, my father, had an active mind.
Yeah.
And so it was like, okay, with this time and with this money, why don't I open up other channels?
Right. So he started and what was the business?
Well, our first business was a motorhome rental business in Orange County.
Wow.
We did that for about 5 or 6 years, and then transitioned out of that, sold that, and then they opened a travel agency in Irvine, California.
Okay. Wow. That seems the next logical step. Motorhome rental to I mean, right? Right. I mean, it is, right? That's the next logical step.
It's all about travel, right?
Right. Right. Wow. So now how long did they do that, or do they still?
No, they don't. They had the travel agency for about 10 years. I worked for them for about 5 or 6 years, and that's concurrently to starting there. Now, I didn't have any skill in the travel business. I had no skill sets. I was 19 years old. I just started junior college. I didn't know what I really wanted to do. So I just ran errands, and I started taking classes on advertising in college.
Yeah.
And that really intrigued me as I started reading books by Trout and Reese and David Ogilvy and, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, there's this thing called advertising. It's an actual know-how, right?
Yeah, right.
So I told my mom, this is back in the early 80s, I'll hand out flyers.
Yeah.
So I said, what are the top 25 cities that people want to travel to? I just, kind of like the top 10 list, but let's go to the top 25. So I made a flyer of, hey, guess what? We can get you to these 25 cities at this price. I said, get me the lowest deal, the best deal on every city. And I would literally go around to the business parks and either stuff it in their, slot, or if there was open, I would just open the door and go, hi, my name's Edwin. I'm with the business called Travel. And I said, I'm Travel, and there's our contact information. And so between that and some ads that we ran on the newspaper, in our first year, we broke $1 million in sales.
What?
Yeah.
What? Your first year?
First year, yeah. I was out there, I was a young hustler before I ever knew that was a concept.
Right.
I just knew that my family had a business. We had an opportunity, and I was just excited about reading about David Ogilvy and, all the emotional buttons. So I was reading and I was applying it.
Wow.
Right there in the flyers. And then I started grabbing business cards and I created a mailing list. Then I started a newsletter. I started mailing the newsletter every month.
A physical newsletter. This is before email.
Yeah, this is pre-internet.
Right.
This is an actual newsletter, and I'm going to the typesetter and I'm taking it to the printer and I'm folding it and I'm putting a stamp on it and getting bulk mail in Disha.
People don't know about that.
I know.
I do, but people don't.
Yeah.
Most people don't now these days. Wow.
Yeah, but I was hitting up 500 to 1,000 businesses per week. And I was mailing out thousands of newsletters, and it was just that pure, just contacting the public over and over and over. And I realized that if you have the right message and the right offering, and you just, and I obviously business people travel, right? So I went to business parks. That was the right audience. And then once they became a client, I grabbed their business card and I put them in the database, and then I hit them up on the database to get them to come back.
So this is, that's grassroots guerrilla marketing. That's like, I do some coaching and people that are like, well, I don't know what to do. I'm like, you know what you do then? Go knock on doors. Just go walk in.
I think that we've gotten so blinded by digital that we've forgotten that, we're still human beings. There's still a human connection. There's still something about looking at a person in the eye, shaking their hand, letting them see who you are, having a real honest conversation, letting them know that you're interested in their business.
Right.
And making a connection, building a real rapport. And I think that it's just as important.
I totally agree with you. And so, one of the things that I'm I don't know you well, but I just have a suspicion that somewhere along the way in your teen years or somewhere did you get in any trouble? Did you go the wrong way? Did you,
Of course.
Huh?
Yes, of course.
I already knew that, and I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I had hair when I was about 18, 19. I had hair down to my shoulders. I was living in Newport Beach.
Yeah.
I looked like a surfer kid. I was smoking pot every day.
Yeah.
I was chasing skirt, drinking. I was just lost. I was kind of going to college. I had this entrepreneurial mind, but I didn't have focus of a goal.
Right.
And when I got that focus, I cut the hair, I stopped doing the drugs, and I started hustling, and I started working.
That's awesome, dude. So, and you graduated high school in Newport Beach area.
Yeah.
Okay.
Newport Harbor High, class of 82.
Okay. So you're just a couple years older than me, but you went to college then?
I went to 2 years at Orange Coast. I didn't graduate. I just took random classes. Those are my years that I was trying to find where just my focus. So I took a lot of classes on business, advertising, photography, design. My mind was going in the direction of marketing and sales. Those type of classes kind of really attracted my attention.
Right.
And I just knew that I wanted to put together business and art and advertising somehow, some way. I didn't know when or where, but that's where my mind and spirit were kind of drawn to.
Gotcha. So, so you left college. You didn't graduate.
No.
You're 20, 21 maybe?
Yeah, about 21, 22.
Okay.
Yeah.
And were you already working with your mom and dad in the travel business?
Yeah. I was still working at Travel.
Okay. And so you'd worked there while you were in college too?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And then what happened next? Where did you, because you said you worked for them about 5 years.
Yeah, then I got offered a job. I met a gentleman who owned an advertising agency in Newport Beach.
Got it. Okay.
And we just started hitting it off, and he goes, "Why don't you come work for me, learn advertising in an actual work environment," right?
Yeah.
And, it sounded intriguing. It was better pay, but I got to work in the industry now, officially.
Wow.
And so he mentored me where we'd go out and we would pitch these advertising deals. And back then, advertising was, billboards, brochures, print ads in high-end magazines.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was the 80s, right?
Right.
But I got to see real conversations between real business professionals about the subject of advertising, and then taking them through the creative phase, even market research, the whole design. I got to sit with the designers, how they were taking the research and creating, using color wheels. And, I got knee deep into the whole advertising industry, right?
Yep. And a lot of people don't know what a color wheel is either.
Am I dating myself?
No. I mean, we're in similar businesses. My wife, her very first job out of college was at an advertising agency, a pretty big one here in Ohio. And like, she knows marketing and advertising, like, it's mind blowing to listen to her talk. So, because most of it's over my head, what are you talking about? Like, so you are now in your early or mid 20s, and you're fully immersed into an advertising agency. You're like the what's that TV show?
Mad Men.
Huh?
Mad Men.
Mad Men, yeah. You're like real life Mad Men. My wife just commented on Facebook, said, "I love my color wheel." she still has it. So like here you are in an agency. Are you doing any selling, or is it? I mean, what's your role with the agency?
I had to work up. I mean, the first thing was just hit the phones.
Yeah.
This is when you could outbound call and just grab the phone book, or just grab a business directory and just go, "Hi, this is Edwin Dearborn with J. Brooks Potter. We're here in Irvine. We help businesses expand. Do you need help with your marketing or advertising?"
Wow.
And I'd make 60 or 70 of those calls per day.
Yeah, right.
And set appointments. And we also had an appointment setter that would also help me. And then I'd go to networking meetings, LaTip, chambers. I mean, this is, put on your shoes and start walking the floor.
Right. So you at least up until this point, everything that you're talking, because last week I went on a world tour. It felt like, but I ended up driving to Dallas. Then I went to visit with clients, and then I drove to Austin to meet more clients. Then I drove over to New Orleans to meet more clients, and it was because, this digital stuff, I do a lot of it, right? And a lot of Facebook advertising and stuff, but the face-to-face, nothing in the world takes the place of face-to-face, belly-to-belly, shaking somebody's hand. It just doesn't.
I don't think we'll ever replace that. In fact, I think it's even more valuable today than it ever has been.
Agreed.
Because we've become so distant and disconnected because of digital.
Right.
I call it digital disconnection, right?
I totally agree with you.
That the minute you are able to that, and take a look at the guys that are just on top, Grant Cardone, Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yeah.
The guys, I mean, they're pressing the flesh.
Yep, they are.
They've mastered digital, and they've got their shows, the Ask Gary V show and the Young Hustle show. Yeah. But man, they're on the circuit, and they're sitting down with young people one-on-one.
Yep, I agree with you. Yeah, it's awesome.
And I think when you combine that with digital, that creates some of the best content. So now you're combining both. You're contacting people, and you're recording that interaction of real life conversation as it's happening in real time. I think that's powerful content.
I totally agree with you. I'm old school, and again, I think that there's a lot, like one of the biggest parts of my coaching business is teaching people how to use social media properly, right? So I think that there's a lot of value in what we're doing in the digital space. But again, it's not going to take the place 100% of face-to-face. It's just you have to have some face-to-face interaction. But without getting too far into that, I would like to, I'd like to know, like, so you're in this agency. How long did you work at that agency?
About 2 years.
2 years. What happened after that? What was next? Did you stay in the agency business?
No. What I did is I met a doctor, Dr. Bill Gillette.
Okay.
And he had a practice in Whittier, California.
Okay.
And I told him what I was doing with the advertising agency, and he's like, "Man, I want to boom my practice, and I want to own multiple practices. You're the right guy." We hit it off.
Right.
Like, literally, we met each other. We were like brothers. And he goes, "You're the guy. I know you're the guy. You got the skill sets. You have the sense of humor. We both like to joke around a lot, right?" He was a very funny guy.
Yeah.
And so I came over there, and within 1 year, we 5X'd his practice, and then we bought a second one. We took him from 20 new patients a month to 100 new patients per month.
Wow.
So I 5X'd his influx of new patients, and I 4X'd his revenue, so much so that we were able to buy a second practice in Huntington Beach, California.
Wow, dude. What kind of doctor?
Chiropractor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome, man. So
and that was also just a lot of guerrilla marketing, and there was no digital at that time,
right.
So we did a lot of bulk mail. I handed out a lot of flyers. I went to a lot of community events.
And this was back in the what?
Late 80s, like 87,
Yeah.
88.
So chiropractic was still not in its infancy by any stretch, but like it wasn't what it is today.
No.
Like people had a lot of I don't know what the word is, misconceptions maybe about chiropractic care.
Yeah, it was just beginning to blow up then.
Yeah.
It was really taking off.
Right.
It didn't have, there was this misconception of, I don't want my back cracked. You're going to crack my back.
Right.
And that was the big thing I had to overcome. Back in the late 80s, it was like, oh, I don't want to hear that snapping sound.
Yeah,
because if
right.
I hear that snapping sound, you must be breaking my bones.
Right. Right.
I think we're past that stage where people don't think that anymore.
Yeah. So with the so you helped really grow this guy's practice. How long were you in that?
I was in that till about 1989, 1990. We worked together for a couple of years.
Okay.
And then at that point, I became I worked for a nonprofit organization, did fundraising.
Okay.
Did that for a number of years.
Right. So like at some point though, you decided I'm going to write a book.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
How recent was this?
I wrote that 3 years ago.
Okay. 3 years ago. So you wrote this book 3 years ago. What made you decide to write a book? Like, obviously, if you've written a book, you're definitely you have the entrepreneurial bug, because writing a book, like, they don't just like start selling just because you wrote a book.
I told people it was like having a child.
It is, yeah. There's a lot to it. So what made you decide to write a book?
Well, really the impetus for that was in 2006. I went to work for a gentleman named Bill Gillette, a mutual friend.
Okay.
And, 2006, 2007, the economy started to tank big time. But at the same time, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all these things were emerging.
Right.
They were brand new.
Right.
We tend to forget that YouTube is like 12 or 13 years old, right?
Right, yeah.
So this is emerging while the economy is collapsing, and this guy's crushing it online. So I realized I had this epiphany that literally changed my life. And I said to myself, marketing and advertising, but the landscape is changing dramatically. And if you don't jump on board and learn it, you're going to be a dinosaur. You're going to be.
Oh, I lost you. You there?
I'm here. Do you see me?
Yep, I see you now. I lost you there for a second.
Okay, sorry about that. So I knew that I was going to be in, this ancient thing, right?
Yeah.
So my successful action was find somebody who's crushing it and go work for them and be mentored. And Bill McIntosh was crushing it. So I worked for him for a number of years. And at that time, it was just building websites and doing SEO. That was the thing back in 2006.
Yeah.
We've got a website and we're doing SEO. We've got keywords,
Yeah. Yeah, I have the SEO conversation daily, every day of my life.
Right.
Yeah.
But it gave me the opportunity to speak, talk, and while I'm doing this, being mentored by Bill McIntosh, I'm grabbing books and I'm reading at night. Like The New Rules of Marketing and PR by David Meerman Scott.
Wow.
Was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And I just started reading about digital marketing, working in digital marketing, and just immersing myself into this world.
Right.
And I found that still to this day, everybody's overwhelmed. So I wrote the book with the idea of, what if I could take all that experience and write a book that undercut the gradient and gave somebody not just a bunch of knowledge, but an actual action plan. And in my book, I define words.
Yeah.
I give examples. I try to give people, how it works. And at the end of my book, I actually give a step-by-step plan of like, okay, here's what you can do with what you have. Don't worry about that you don't have fancy equipment. You don't have a big budget. You can begin with what you have.
Yeah. So, one of the things that I personally have also thought about writing a book about digital marketing. In Columbus, Ohio, I was the very first person to embed a video on a realtor's website doing a walkthrough of a house. It was before YouTube even existed. And so I did all of that, and I'm like, I didn't realize really it was more of I did it because it was challenging and I like challenges. And so I figured out how to embed a Flash video on a website when Flash was relevant. And so, I've seen, and I know you have too, I've had this company for 16 years and my God, things have changed. I mean, they're changing so fast too. And it's like, so I've talked myself out of writing a book on digital marketing because I'm like, by the time it's published and it's like, there's going to be a lot of stuff that's changed because now it's like Instagram and Facebook and this, this goes out on the Binge TV networks, which goes to Apple TV and Roku and all these different platforms, but like it's all digital stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like how do you when you're dealing with clients or anybody for that matter, how do you convince them to stay relevant? Like, hey man, things are changing. Like even it's been 3 years, man. Some stuff has changed in your book. Guarantee it.
Yep.
Right? So how do you get people to stay relevant?
Well, number one, I realized that no book will ever stay relevant, but there's a lot of foundation stuff, right?
Right.
Do you have a strategy?
Right.
Are you keeping, do you have a story to tell? Do you have what is a brand?
Right.
So 90% of the stuff in my book will still be relevant in 10 years because it's fundamentals.
Right.
Right.
Love that. Yep.
And so I'm going to tell you something, when you go into a business, I'm going to tell you the question that throws everybody on their heels. And I've been to businesses with board of directors that went to Harvard University and Brown and, this school and USC. And what can you do for us, Edwin?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you the question that throws them for a loop every time. Can I see your written marketing and sales strategy and plan?
Wow.
Not once has anybody been able to produce a written plan.
Right.
And I go, if you guys don't have a written plan, what are you coordinating around?
Right.
And you'll find that at the highest levels of the biggest companies, including especially small companies and solopreneurs, they have no strategy.
Right.
They're constantly winging it. And there's infighting within the corporation. The marketing people resent the salespeople. The salespeople don't think the marketing people are working for them. They're not getting the support. This is a huge issue. And I covered that particular issue in my book, particularly the amount of strife that's internal because of the level of disorganization when it comes to sales and marketing. So the first thing I do is I put in order. Where are we going? Who are we? What is our unique selling proposition?
Right.
And if you don't have it in writing and you don't have everybody chiming the same message, then you have multiple messages going out into the environment or no message.
Right.
Or worse, a confused message.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
So I covered those points extensively in multiple chapters of my book that, before you say anything, is everybody on the same team? Are we actually organized? And does our message actually resonate with the needs, the wants, the pains
Right.
the desires, the hopes of our audience.
Dude, I had that conversation, literally this exact conversation yesterday with a client that I said, look, don't assume, because a lot of people on a higher level will definitely have goals written down, and they have a plan in mind for specific, some certain areas in their business or their life. But most people have no goals. Most people have no plan, not just in business, but in life, right? And so I had that exact conversation yesterday with somebody going, first off, don't assume that people have goals, because they don't.
They don't. I'm telling you, and it's so funny you say that, because they'll say, well, we want to do some marketing. And I go, well, how much, what do you want to achieve through this marketing?
Right.
They go, well, what do you mean? I go, financially,
right,
statistically, how do you want to make how much more money? How many more new patients? They're like, well,
right.
We've never thought about that.
Right.
And I go, well, if we don't have an end goal, how do I reverse engineer and build a system that's going to get you where you want? Otherwise, you're going to come back to me and go, your marketing's not working.
Right. Right.
We're not measuring anything. How do you know if it's working or not?
Right. Right. Dude, it's amazing. It's like when somebody says they want a website, and I go, well, what do you have in mind? What are your goals for the website? How many pages? What content? Interactivity? Yada yada yada. And they're like, well, I haven't really thought about that. How much do you charge? And I'm like, $1 million a month should cover all of our bases. Because I don't know what it's going to be, right? Like, we got to figure that out. That's part of the deal. So it's so important to have exactly what you're saying, man. You've got to have a strategy, a plan, and it's got to be measurable. You got to keep stats on what's going on and how it's working, what's not working. I love it, dude. You're right. Love it. Now I'm going to have to read your book.
Well, awesome. Well, I tell you, it's, when you look at whether it's martial arts or sports, we look at these athletes and they'll always tell you that it's the fundamentals. It's the footwork. A boxer, a boxing coach, it's the footwork, the footwork, the footwork, the footwork.
Right.
Right. And you're going, well, the boxer doesn't hit with his feet. You're like, yes, he does.
Yeah.
Because if he's got the foundation of footwork,
right,
the punch will have so much more power.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, you and we're not trained boxers, so we don't look at the footwork. But the coach, he knows that that's the foundation for a fighter's success. Right?
Right.
Okay. So as a coach, I go in and I'm looking at the footwork.
Yep.
And they're not looking at the footwork. They're going, we need a bigger punch.
Right. I get it, dude. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. So wow, man, that's so true. So you've done a lot of things, and you wrote this book. I know you do speaking engagements. You go out and talk to entrepreneurs, and what are some of the things that you talk about?
I think the number one thing that I find is, how do I actually make sense of this digital thing, this internet of things? Yeah. How do I get into it on a gradient that makes sense to me within the budget that I have? It's always, I preach the Japanese philosophy called Kaizen, which is small, little, continual improvements.
Yeah.
Right?
I've heard
people are so willing to be overwhelmed, and I always have to back them down and go, no, let's just start with something you can do. Right?
Yeah.
Can you get out an email this week? Yes, I can do that. Good. Let's get out an email.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And when they start having little wins, I go, well, that's not that hard.
Right.
Then I go, okay, what's the next thing you can confront?
Right.
And we start doing this, and in a year back, they've got all these skill sets and all these things they can confront doing. Now they're doing them on a routine, and guess what happens? They have a system, they're putting in processes, they have growth.
I love it. Again, it goes back to, people get stuck, they get frozen, they forget that, when I started my business fresh out of a divorce that was not a good one. And not that any of them are good, but, right. So, but I had no money. I had nothing, literally down to zero. I had a car and hope. And that was it. And a buddy loaned me $20 and said, dude, you need to move out of my house. Like, go find your own place. You're 35 or 36 years old. Grow up and get your crap together. And so I took that and I bought a pack of cigarettes because I smoked back then. They were $3 a pack then. And I had 17 left. I put $10 gas in my car. And I thought, well, I have $7 for lunch, right? So McDonald's value meal looked good. And I went out and I knocked on doors. So, and then I've done, I've done very extremely well, but the fundamental is making those touch points, like making those contacts. I had no idea who I was talking to that very first day. None. But I went out and I banged on doors until I got somebody that said yes.
Yeah, I tell people, you want to expand your business, go contact people.
That's it.
Success is a contact sport.
It is. Amen. It is, man. What are some of the things that you see people getting stuck? People do get stuck, not just in business, but in life. What are some of the things that you see people that what's the number one thing that keeps people stuck, in your opinion?
I think that it's very easy to point to other factors outside of your control as to why you're not successful.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the president. Oh, it's Congress. Oh, it's the economy. Oh, it's competition. Oh, inflation. There's always some factor going on and it's really easy to point the fingers at things that you cannot control.
Right.
And a strategy always starts out with, once you've decided on what your goal is, assessing your resources. What do you have? And I give the analogy of, Tom Hanks on that island. What was that movie? Castaway?
What was it?
Was it Castaway?
Castaway, yeah. Wilson.
Wilson. And I said, Tom Hanks, it's got I tell small business owners, you're kind of like Tom Hanks. You can you're on an island by yourself. And you got a volleyball and an ice skate and some stuff that washed up on shore. And you got to build a raft and get off. And that's what you have.
Yeah.
See, now, Tom Hanks, while he was sitting on the island, didn't look at all the things he didn't have to get off the island. He leveraged the things he did have, created a strategy, created an action plan, took action, and got off the island.
Right.
And that's where most businesses are. They're left they're alone.
Yep.
They're talking to strange objects at night, because they're lonely.
Hey,
right? Because entrepreneurship can be lonely, and they got very few tools. But you got to make what you have, to get where you want to go.
Right.
And that's the key, is really assessing what do you have, and then coming up with bright ideas of how to leverage what you have, and stop putting your attention on what you don't have. I don't have Grant Cardone's millions. I don't have the fame. I got that.
Yeah.
And you can talk about that and whine about that all day and be a victim.
Yep.
That ain't going to open the door to success. We got to assess what you do have.
Yep. And I talked about this, I don't even know, 2 nights ago maybe, on a live stream, where it was, you focus on when you focus on what you don't have, you get more of that. And when you put your attention on what you do have and gratitude, you literally open up, you make room for more. You just do. It's the way it works.
You get what you validate, right?
Right.
Good or bad.
Amen.
And so you've got to know, you've got to assess internally, do an audit of yourself and go, what are the skill sets and and what are the abilities?
Right.
What are my connections? Who do I know? Right. How can I leverage that? And, it takes a little bit of humility as well. I mean, I was in a very similar position a few years ago. Divorce, not fun, starting over, no money.
Yeah.
And I had fortunately some very good friends that I've known for a long time. Yeah. And I said, dude, I need a little money. I need an opportunity.
Yeah.
I'm going to come back. I'm going to pay you back with interest. And I'm going to do everything I can to succeed.
Yeah.
They're all paid off.
Yeah.
My business is growing.
Right.
And so, but I had to assess what do I have? How do I start this new journey in my life?
Love it, man. I love it. So if somebody came to you and they said, look, man, I'm stuck. My electric's getting shut off tomorrow. My car was repoed last week. I can't figure out, all my competitors are killing it and I'm not, and I don't know what the hell's going on. Like, what do you say to that person? And I get so many different answers when I interview people on here about this question. It's like, I know it's going to vary a little bit, but that fundamentally there's something that you can say to that person to help A, motivate them, and B, get them over that hump, like right now.
Yep.
What do you say? Tell them, go. I want to hear because I have a feeling that you have a great answer.
I have there's two ways I answer that. Number one, I go, look, Nelson Mandela sat in prison for 25 years on the edge of death, not knowing whether he was going to make it the next day. And the guy walked out and he told himself, if I take all this anger with me, I'll never leave the prison.
Love it.
The minute he walked out, he left those 25 years, the bitterness behind him.
Yeah.
And he became president of that nation.
It's insane.
Okay. He went to being an incarcerated prisoner, tortured, beat. So you don't have any of the challenges that Nelson Mandela has, but you got to let go. You better, because that will be your prison.
Wow. Love it, dude.
And number two is you and I know that if you have the ability to get into this much trouble, you have an equal amount of ability to create that much success. And let's just acknowledge the fact that you're that causative. You really got yourself in trouble. And I would admire how causative and proactive you were in getting into this deep of a hole. And if you can dig that deep of a hole for yourself with all that ability you have, then those same talents and abilities reversed will build a tower just as high.
Love it, dude. I love it. Start pouring concrete while you're down there. Build you a nice foundation.
That's right, man. Yeah. Look, if you've got talent to create big problems, you've got talent to create big solutions.
Dude, that is freaking one of the best answers ever to that question. I love it. Because it's true.
It is true.
It is true, man. People get stuck there, and it's just not necessary.
Yeah, you need to have your Nelson Mandela moment and walk out and leave the prison behind.
Dude, I love that, man. I freaking love that. Wow. So what, I mean, first off, how would everybody follow you that's watching this that they don't know who you are? What's the best way to follow you?
Connect with me on LinkedIn. Just type in Edwin Dearborn. YouTube. I've been doing a lot of videos, so just go to YouTube. Follow me on YouTube. I think those are the two best places. Not a lot of people are on Twitter. I find that most people are on LinkedIn or watch videos.
What about Facebook?
Yeah, Facebook, but I'm at 5,000.
Do you not have a fan page?
I do one. It's if you look at Edwin Dearborn, I think it's called Marketing and Business Advice from Edwin Dearborn.
Okay.
Just type in my name, it'll pop up.
Yeah.
But I've become a big YouTuber. I've really gravitated towards video, right?
Yeah.
Video to me is the future.
Well, yeah.
Look what we're doing right now, right?
Yeah.
And also, I want to ask something of you.
Sure.
I love public speaking.
Uh-huh.
And if you ever see an opportunity for us to work together on the public speaking tour, please. Because I love your demeanor. I love your approach. You're such a, you bring a sense of realism and authenticity, and you're not one of these Tony Robbins guys that's up there. I won't mention other people that give these, cliche type.
Hey, I don't drive a Ferrari.
Cliches.
I don't have a Ferrari yet.
I'm sorry?
I said I don't drive a Ferrari yet.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying, I've got all the bling, I've got all the money, the Ferrari, the hot girls, and, you can do it, and all this cliche motivational stuff. I don't like that. Right. I like real, hard truth, pragmatic planning.
Yeah.
Things that we can do.
And I appreciate that, man. I'm not like, look, my plan when I started my business was to survive. like I want better than McDonald's. That's literally what and I got to pay child support now, and I probably should make my car payment or they'll take it. So, I didn't have a plan like most people, right? So
totally.
What I did have, and what I know you have, is I had the ability to get off my ass and go knock on a door and talk to people. And I had the ability to pick up the phone and call people. And I had the ability to annoy the crap out of people over and over and over until they either put a restraining order against me or they said yes. Right?
Or they opted out. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So that's it, man. Like that's what it takes.
That's what it takes. I could see the title of your new book, Beyond the Happy Meal.
McDonald's might sue me for that. But
they might.
I think it I love that title. But Beyond the Golden Arches or something. But anyway, look, I think that you're 1,000% correct with the video thing. Facebook is not something to be ignored. I tell clients that every single day.
Absolutely.
And there's so many different things that people could be doing that they're not doing because they have more excuses than they have desire.
Yep.
It's that simple.
You're spot on.
Yeah. So, dude, I'm so grateful. I want everybody to know that Edwin unfriended me on Facebook until last night. I'm like looking for pictures to promote this, and I'm like, dude, why did you unfriend me? And you're like, I didn't. What are you talking about? And I'm like, yeah, you did. Somebody hacked your account and unfriended me, dude. Like
that was freaky. I was like, it was a devastating moment going, how did I unfriend?
He said it was a devastating moment.
I must have woken up at 3 a.m. in some stupor and just pressed,
like,
I don't know.
You're this guy. But anyway, dude, I you're a great guy. You obviously have an unbelievable amount of experience. So, I think everybody watching this, go follow Edwin for sure on Facebook, and I'm sure you'll direct them from there how to get to YouTube and LinkedIn and do you use Instagram?
I do, yeah.
Okay, so Instagram, all of the platforms, and dude, I really genuinely appreciate you taking the time to come on the show. I love the fact that you did it. Any last words of just inspiration, advice to somebody that's stuck, that they can't figure out how to get past the hump?
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank you. I just love this format that you've created. Powerful tool for people like myself, it's going to build your brand. The thing that I can tell people.
Uh-oh. Are you there?
Motivation.
Hold on. Something
Yeah,
happened.
I'm here.
You there still? Uh-oh.
I'm here.
Right when I ask for wisdom, it freezes. Okay, I think you're back. There you are. There you are.
Am I back?
Yep, you're back. Go ahead. Go ahead. Keep going.
Be true to your own purpose. Figure out a plan. Get a mentor. Look, you'll get the help if you ask for it. If you say everything's fine, then no one's going to help you. Do not refuse the help. You know, like Ken, if someone came to you and said, look, I'm in a tight spot and I need you to mentor me, what would you do? You'd do it. I'd do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You've got to be willing to ask for help. You've got to be humble enough to ask for help.
Yep.
And if you can ask for help and get help, then you will be helped.
Love it, dude. You're right. 1,000%. Edwin Dearborn, thank you so much for being on the show. Appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you to everybody on Facebook for all the shares. If you're a replay viewer and you've made it this far, thank you. Really appreciate it. And you guys have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Edwin, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. We'll see you guys tomorrow.